Hey, what's going on, everybody? Not your average Josh back here for another movie review. It's been a couple of weeks since I posted one up since Wolfman came out. Haven't been to the movie theater as much in the month of January, so with work and everything, sometimes I don't have as much time to go to the movies. So with that being said, I was happy to finally go back to the movies after a couple of weeks. Definitely was fiending for that movie theater experience, and it was for a really good movie and its companion, a movie I've been hearing a lot of great things about, directed and written by Drew Hancock, and I really enjoyed this film. Be very happy to get into my thoughts on this. But before I start this movie review, as I say for every video, I appreciate any support that I do get for this. I do this for fun. It's my passion to talk about movies and TV shows. You can leave a comment down below. You can hit the like button or hit the subscribe button as well if you want to support this channel any further. And you can also follow me on any of my social media platforms. They're on this screen right now for you as well. And also in the description below if you want to go ahead and hit some of those links. But other than that, let's go ahead and get into this review of this very fun, crazy film, Companion. And as I mentioned, directed and written by Drew Hancock, and also one of the producers on this film of Barbarian was Zach Kreger. One thing I do have to mention right off the bat, the marketing for this, I thought they really kind of messed up. After watching the movie, I don't think it necessarily affected my viewing experience too much, but I do think they showed way too much in the poster alone with this. When I was standing in line with my friend, he didn't know anything about it. He hadn't seen the poster or the trailer for this, so he didn't know the big reveal they give. And of course, the poster just fucking pops up as we're waiting in line, and he ends up seeing. And I'm not going to go too much into it. I'm not even really going to mention much of it, because if you haven't seen the movie yet, you happen to be watching this review, I don't want to spoil anything for you, but honestly, I feel like nowadays with social media and everything else, you probably have seen the poster or the trailer to some extent. So you probably were spoiled by what's going on here. But I will, for the sake of trying not to spoil too much, not go into it as much. But I do think they really messed up with the marketing for this. It would have been nice to not have that aspect of it be known to me going into it so I could be completely fresh with it. But that's just how it is nowadays. I think if you see, not to go too much on a tangent with this, but the movie Sinners that is coming out, the trailer they dropped for that recently, the Ryan Coogler film, they showed way too fucking much in that movie. Like, I think they legitimately might have messed up the viewing experience for that one. So that's a whole nother subject for another video, another day. Getting to the actual movie of this, as I mentioned at the top of this video, I really enjoyed this film. I've been hearing nothing but positive things about it. Jack Quaid is someone who, mainly for me, for The Boys, him playing Huey in that, I really enjoy him as an actor. He's still a little bit up and coming, I guess, if you will, getting a lot of popularity on that show, but also showing up in something like Scream 5, I thought he was really good in. He is one of those actors who I'm looking for anything he's going to be in, and apparently he's in a bunch of shit, because in a couple months from now, he's also in another movie where he's starring in called Novocaine with Amber Midthunder, who was in Prey. That looks also like a really interesting concept. But this movie in particular, also having Sophie Thatcher in here playing this character Iris, the romantic lead along with Jack Quaid, she's really good in this. What she is asked to do as an actor, having to portray different emotions in a very particular way. Again, not going to go too deep into it. I think she does such a good job. And having seen her in Heretic last year, along with Hugh Grant, I thought she was fucking great in that movie. So I think she is going on a little bit of a rising here too. So to see both of these actors, Jack Quaid, Sophie Thatcher, on this particular rise together in a movie, I thought was really cool, and they both were definitely the biggest standout in this movie. And to give a basic description for what this movie is without going into too much of the details, you have Josh here, played by Jack Quaid, Iris, played by Sophie Thatcher. They're a couple. They're going on a vacation with a lot of Josh's friends. And from the very beginning, there seems to be this very weird vibe, especially with the cat. Josh is one of his friends who doesn't seem to like her so much. And there's a weird vibe from the very beginning that you're just feeling very uneasy about what's going on here. Very much in a similar vein to like Barbarian that Zach Kreger directed, in terms of the vibe from the very beginning. Once you have Bill Skarsgård's character show up in that movie, where you're just uneasy, not knowing quite what the fuck's going to happen. You get that in this movie as well. And I really enjoyed the tone from the very beginning of this. They get right to it. A lot of this movie is pretty much in one location in this very fancy ass house in the middle of the woods. And I really enjoyed that. I think when you can execute an idea that is taking place in one location, especially a you get sci-fi horror vibes with this movie. It can really be fun, and you can do a lot with that, especially with a bigger house too. You're not confined to necessarily one smaller location. I think they do a lot with the location in this movie that is very well done. Also, besides the main two here, Harvey Gillian, I believe is how you say his name. He is, I think, really great in What We Do in the Shadows as Guillermo, the familiar in that show. I still need to watch the last season of that, by the way. It's a little side note. He is awesome in this. It's cool to see him in something outside of that. I believe I've seen him in like one or two other things, but this is the main thing that he really stood out the most besides What We Do in the Shadows that he's in. You also get Lucas Gage in here as Patrick, and he is in the new Smile 2 movie most recently that I still have not seen, but I knew from the trailer. I recognize him from that. He's really good in here also. He has a really nice emotional moment about halfway through the movie, and really actually a couple different times, even later on in the movie, where his acting is pretty damn on point. I really felt the emotion that he was bringing in this particular scene that he's having with Harvey Gillian's character. Rupert Friend in here as Sergei, which I know him most recently from the Obi-Wan series, playing that Grand Inquisitor character. Completely didn't even recognize that he was that until I was looking up the credits after here that he played that character. I'm not as familiar with Rupert Friend as probably some other people, but he's really interesting in here as this character Sergei, who owns this house that they're all going to visit and vacation at. Very interesting character. Not going to get too much more into it, but there's a little bit of a sliminess to him, and also this suave coolness and rich guy energy that he brings. The acting as a whole in this movie was really well done across the board, save for one character that I will get into in my negatives. Not going to pick on him too much, but I do have one character that I didn't really like the acting as much. But other than that, I thought the acting was really well done. As I already mentioned, the tone they bring about. And then what this movie is also about with the storytelling and the themes they go into here. I had a little bit of a small worry going into this that they were going to be a little too overhanded with certain things, with the themes of relationships, toxic relationships, how people deal with their significant other, the control aspect of all that. But I thought it was really done in a pretty seamless way here. And I think there's a lot of surface level stuff going on, and there's also some deeper elements that they do touch on and get into that I thought was all done really well. The dynamics they continue to build on as the movie goes on, and then as shit escalates, I thought it continued to get better and better as the movie went on, especially with the story. There's only one scene in particular that didn't quite work for me. Other than that, I thought I was engaged throughout the whole movie. It's an hour, 37 minutes. I do think it goes on a bit long. That's probably one of my mixed aspects with the movie is I'll be interested to see on a rewatch how I feel about the runtime, because it definitely feels more like a 2-hour movie when it's only an hour 37. That didn't negatively affect me this time watching it, but now that I know what is going to happen from scene to scene, I'm interested to see if that will maybe be more of a negative for me. But that being said, I really enjoy where they went with everything. They have a couple reveals in this movie. One that, again, I think they pretty much show in the trailer and poster. There's also another reveal that they have that really sets up what the whole movie is truly going to be about from here on out. And I did not see that coming. I think that is really the saving grace for them spoiling what they did in the marketing for this, is the reveal they show. I wasn't even thinking that that's where they're going with it. And it presents all these different directions they can go now from the rest of the movie. And I thought they went in a lot of really creative, cool directions for the most part. And the sci-fi element they bring to it, the horror vibes, it is pretty funny throughout as well. Like when I was watching it, I was honestly more invested in the drama of it and what was going to happen, like the stakes of these characters and what they're going to do now. But when the movie was over, as I was talking to my friend Guillermo that I went to see this with, I was thinking more and more about how funny the movie was. And there is a few laugh out loud, like pretty hilarious ass moments, and then a lot of funnier little moments sprinkled in throughout as well that provide a lot of fun with this, along with bringing the horror elements that I think a lot of people are going to enjoy. There isn't a lot of bloody or carnage filled moments, but when they do go there, they definitely go there, and it's pretty cool. The special effects in this movie as well, there's not a lot, but what they do go for was pretty cool, a little bit gnarly and nasty at a time or two. You also get a few different shout outs to other movies like Ex Machina, Terminator at times. I think this is going to be a fun movie for couples going out to see it. The ideas it explores, again, of relationships and what the future holds in our society for what that could mean. And the sci-fi element of this is so cool and crazy. One thing I will say, though, another mixed aspect I have, it kind of goes along with the runtime here. Once you get to the third act of the movie, it does extend itself a little much. And I'll be interested again to see how I feel upon my second viewing with this, because I liked what they ended up going for, and I understood why they kept going with it. There's a part in the movie where the story could have ended and everything could have wrapped up, but then they end up extending it. And it's believable enough for how they ended up doing that, but I do think it could start to maybe drag a bit upon further watch of it. So I'm a little more mixed on it right now. Getting into my main negative with the movie, there is a particular scene that happens, and it involves a sheriff here. And I'm not trying to pick on the actor. I don't even remember his name. He's not someone else familiar with. I did not like this scene much at all. It's a scene with him and Sophie Thatcher. The sheriff is starting to come across what is potentially going on here at this house and investigating certain stuff. And the scene overall, I don't know if it was his acting, the direction they had for him, the dialogue, the writing as a whole, with the scene in general. I think it may have been a combination of all that. It was not working for me much at all, and it took me out of the film. The only scene in the entire movie that took me out in any way. I was not vibing with what they were going for. Once you get to the end of the scene, though, the movie picks back up again, and it gets into a more interesting area again. I really enjoyed this from pretty much from beginning to end, other than that one little blip there. I have some mixed aspects with it. Certain moments throughout where I'm like, does that quite make sense? I'll be interested to see how I feel about that on another viewing. As I've already mentioned before, I'm very much interested in seeing more of Sophie Thatcher. I think Jack Quaid also gets to some points here as an actor in this movie, some levels I didn't quite know he could get to. Only gets me more excited to see his movie Novocaine that he's going to be in, that comes out in about a month or two. And I'm going to continue to be more excited to see Sophie Thatcher after seeing her in Heretic, and then now seeing her in this. She is one of those rising stars I'm going to be constantly looking out for. And the director here, the fact that he directed and wrote this movie, the fact that the story does for the most part stay in a very interesting, entertaining way without going too far out there. What they touch on with technology and sci-fi, as I mentioned, and what the future can hold for certain aspects of our society, I thought was very interesting, very compelling. The way they touch on the toxic relationship aspect, I thought was done in a very seamless and natural way. I thought they did a good job with giving you an entertaining movie on the surface, but also having these little deeper themes underneath. Really fun end of January movie. If you haven't seen it yet, I would definitely go out and check it out. But that's my main thoughts. I'm going to give Companion an 8.5 out of 10. Really nice to see a fun sci-fi horror movie in the theaters. Definitely got my the bad taste out of my mouth after watching Wolfman, which if you've seen my review, if you haven't seen it, it's down below in the description. But if you have seen it, you know I was pretty lukewarm on that one. It was in my most anticipated of the year, that film, and it definitely didn't meet my expectations. But to get this movie, really awesome. Are you planning on going to see this? Have you already seen it? Is it on your radar at all? Whatever your thoughts are, leave a comment down below. As I mentioned every time, you can also hit the like button and hit the subscribe button as well if you want to support this channel any further. And you can also follow me on any of my social media platforms. They're on this screen right now as well. I'm going to be posting a lot more movie reviews here soon. Planning on going back to the movie theater a little bit more than I have been this month of January. Just a little bit of a lull there. There's going to be some TV series I'm sure I'm going to review as well throughout this month. I'm in the middle of watching Severance. That just came back, and I'm really enjoying that so far. I did finish Silo Season 2, but I'm probably not going to review that. But Apple Plus right now is killing it with their TV series. The new Spider-Man show also came out. I feel like that's probably going to be the next one that I do review once that season is over with. Plenty of more videos to come very soon. I do appreciate, again, anyone who supports this channel. Still smaller here. Just doing this because I love talking about movies and TV shows. I love engaging with anybody who leaves a comment down below, whatever it is. And look for more videos very soon, and I'll talk to you guys later.